Good morning. My name is Julie Hill, a member of the Pastoral Care Team here at Mount St. Francis. We welcome all of you. Those who have gathered here in the Clare House Chapel, those watching on closed circuit TV, as well as Sister Dolores' family and friends who are joining us via live stream. We come together to honor and remember the life of Sister Dolores. We are going to start with an opening song. It's Life, Lord, It Is Good, page 52 in the Sing Joyfully book, verses 1 and 2. Page 52, verses 1 and 2.
A reading from the Rule of Life for the Brothers and Sisters of the Third Order Regular. Let the brothers and sisters be gentle, peaceful, and unassuming, mild and humble, speaking respectfully in accord with their vocation. Wherever they are or wherever they go throughout the world, they should not be quarrelsome, contentious, or judgmental toward others. Rather, it should be obvious that they are joyful and good-humored and happy in the Lord. And in greeting others, let them say, God give you peace.
Sister Dolores once described herself as just a country girl from a small rural community. Maybe that is where her joy for life began. While calling Sister Dolores' family and friends to inform them of her death, many stated she always had a smile. I would add to this that she was joyful and good-humored. On Dolores' 95th birthday, she She opened a birthday card that read, "This is your day. Enjoy it." Upon reading it, Dolores stated, "I am going to read this tomorrow and do it again." Dolores also had a spirit of adventure about her that was with her in good times and trying times. She enjoyed life, being with people, being a teacher, and being encouraged in her own growth. She also remembered being stretched by her mission and ministry. She alluded to this in her autobiography when she wrote, "Things I hoped wouldn't happen in my life did happen. My prayer has always been that I'd be better for each experience I've encountered." It is a prayer that all of us might hold in our hearts as we live each day and live into the unknown. And so with grateful hearts, let us now share memories of Sister Dolores. Please raise your hand and we will bring the microphone to you. Please stand if you are able and introduce yourself.
I'm Sister Kathy Lynch, and Bertha Boner gave me this story to read. It's an exchange between Dolores and Archbishop Hannes. Here's the story. Dolores went to Archbishop Hannes to let him know she would be retiring. Since priests are encouraged to retire at 70 and must retire at 75, she didn't want to outdo the priests. So she told the Archbishop she would be 75 in May, and her contract ends in June. But she would be retiring from pastoral care at St. Donatus, St. Catherine's. The Archbishop looked at her and said, "Do you think I could change your birth certificate?"
I'm Sister Sally Mitchell, and this is from Ina Bakey, a niece of Sister Dolores. When I first moved to Iowa, Sister Dolores made me feel very welcomed and special. One day, when I came to Dubuque for a visit, she planned the whole day and showed me the many wonders the city has to offer. She also taught me the history of St. Francis and St. Clare. One experience I will never forget was the day she invited me to eat with all the sisters. I felt very blessed to be around such spiritual people. Sister Dolores, you will always be in my heart. Thank you for being an amazing person, and know that I will always love you.
I'm Sister Angie, and this is a little story about Dolores. We would go on picnics, a group of us, out to the park quite frequently. And one night in the fall, it was getting a little cool. And so Dolores didn't bring her jacket along, so we took the tablecloth off the table and wrapped it around her, and she thought that was pretty good. So we had a lot of laughs.
I'm Sister Lila Hellman, and when I was a patient over here at Clare House, I would often eat breakfast with Sister Dolores. She would come in with that joyful smile. She would make small conversation about the food, and then we'd have some very hearty laughs as she continued eating this delicious food that she always had. And a nurse told me last week that Dolores never needed her call light. She would say, "You, anybody out there?"
News.
I'm Sister Edna Ginder. I lived with Dolores 2 times. The first time at St. Edward's, I had a large group of 60 first and second graders, and by October, the priest and principal decided I needed some help. So Dolores was given part of my second graders, and she was teaching 4th and 3rd grade at the time, so they got a lay teacher for 3rd grade, and Dolores had 4th and part of the 2nd grade. The other time I lived with her was at Jessup. It was August, and it was time to get thinking about getting ready for school. But Sister Teresta had visited her family up in South Dakota, and we felt it was time for her to come home. So Dolores and I, of course, Teresta was in on this, knew that we were going to go and get her home. But when we got to her sister's place that night, we stayed. And then the next day we took off for the Black Hills and a number of places around there, enjoying 3 or 4 days of touring and visiting. So those were memorable days with Dolores.
I am Sister Carol Ann Bertie, and I accompanied Dolores to see her doctor quite a few times, and she was the most delightful person to be with. And she would have some really unusual, humorous stories to tell the doctor usually, and of course he knew they weren't all true. So he would have a good laugh about that, and he'd say to her, "Well, is that so?" And like I said, and others have said, she was just a delight to be with.
I'm Sister Nona Meyerhofer. This is from a niece, Brina Bakey. She writes, Sister Dolores would always have a smile on her face whenever I would see her. She would share her many memories with me of dancing, helping others, and traveling the world. Sister Dolores will always be remembered as a caring and adventurous person. She was just one of those people that whenever you think of them, it brings a smile to your face. Sister Dolores, I am sure you will make many others smile in heaven.
I'm Sister Julie Monternack, a fellow Cascader. So I decided to sign up and be her partner this year. And I knew that it was going to be a lot of fun because she was still in that mode of laughing a lot. And I came over a couple times to try to find her, to talk with her about what she would like to do. And it was really hard to find her awake. So 2 weeks ago today, I think it was, I came over about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and she was down in the dining room eating lunch because she had slept through it all by herself. And we had the best conversation. And finally she said, I asked what she would like to do, and she said, I love praying the rosary. And I said, great, I do too. But she said, never on Tuesday. That's a sad day. And I'm sitting there thinking, why is that a sad day? I wonder if her mother died on a Tuesday. And I'm walking back and I'm thinking, she's really connecting the dots on all of this. And I'm walking back to Frances' house and I think, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of this. Tuesday is the day you pray the sorrowful mysteries. And she didn't want to have anything to do with praying the sorrowful mysteries. I thought that was pretty insightful for her at that point in her life. She was a delight.
Hi, I'm Father Dan Napper. I'm also from Cascade, and I knew Dolores' family, her parents, but I didn't know Dolores until later on. I knew where their home place was, and I liked one of the things she usually said, she came from a large family. She was one of 15, And people would remark to her mother, well, that's a lot of kids, I guess. And the mother said they came one at a time. She liked to say that all the time. But anyway, I knew her younger brother, Bob, who lived in the home place. And we were together in Bellevue area, and we had baptism class together. And one of the things she shared really stuck with me. Her mother and dad, when they would go to bed at night, they would say the rosary together, and Sister Dolores shared that, that they were a family of prayer. And she was just so pleasant and delightful to visit with, even in these last years. And I've enjoyed coming up to Clare House, and we would have lunch together. And then since COVID, and she moved up to the dementia unit up there, every time I'd come, she was so happy to see me. And we would start to reminisce about things about her family particularly. I always liked all the things that she had on her walls from her life, particular family life, and also various other things, the ministry she had done over the years. But she was such a joyful person and very humble, and I thought the reading today really captured who she was, of having the spirit of Frances and Clare.
I'm Ruth Ellsburn, a classmate, one of the three that is left. My memory of Dolores, when she was on 1 South, on our wing, was of how many times there would be people coming to visit her. I found out some of them were her second graders whom she had helped make their first communion. Some of them were parishioners, or she was the parish administrator or whatever. I also couldn't help but think, as I saw the reading that was selected today, how appropriate Dolores lived those values of the Franciscan community so beautifully. It's just been fun to hear the stories that are told with you folks who have had time, the chance and opportunity to live with her. She was fun even on 1 South until she went up to the memory unit.
And Sister Carol Hempside, when I was on staff over at Stonehill, one of her brothers, or maybe even two, lived there, and Dolores would come and visit frequently. I just remember how proud she was of those guys who were as nice as she was. The one would always wear bib overalls, and he didn't do that because it was fun. He did it because that's the way you dress. And I remember he would introduce himself as saying he was from McCokety. He was from McCokety, McAllister. Nice people.
I am Sister Mary Lechtenberg. For several years, those who were celebrating their Golden Jubilee came to Shalom for a day of reflection. And the year Dolores was there was a question asked of the participants. When did you know that you were called to be a sister? And so there were various answers, but I enjoyed Dolores's so much because she said, I was at a dance. And so that has just always made me smile, that you could have such wonderful insights when you're dancing.
I'm Sister Mary Lou Reich. When Dolores was taking care of her aged father at Cascade in his apartment, sometimes the sisters there would give her some relief and take turns. And so then I was over there one time to visit with her father while Dolores was taking time off. Dolores, as you have all said, was a very enjoyable person to live with. She was not only an excellent teacher for the students, but she was also very good with adults. When she was there, she also started an at-home retreat for women that she would offer spiritual help for them. And one time she was very fortunate to win a trip to Orlando, Florida. And she invited 3 of us to go with her. And of course, it was a very enjoyable time.
I'm Marge Burkle. My first years on mission were at Holy Trinity, and I never had any kind of preparation for teaching because I thought I was going to be a nurse. And I got sent there, and Dolores was my supervising teacher. And she would come to my room, and she would always be affirmative. And one day she said to me, "You know, Marge, I think you've got it. I don't think I need to come anymore." So she really sealed my love for teaching, and we shared so many wonderful stories. And I had 4th grade, she had 3rd and 4th grade, and we were across the aisle, and as all of you know, my voice carries a lot. So she said, "I pretty much know what's going on when my door is open and your door is open." So, and then my second memory is when we still had renewal days over at Collette Hall, when that was the spirituality center. And we had a family, our parent weekend. And her mom and dad and Dolores made the weekend, and my mom and dad were there, and so was I. But her mom and dad always talked, that I could see where Dolores got her joy because her mom and dad were so much fun on that weekend. But they always kept talking about these dances that they went to. So when Dolores kept talking, even in these last years, about dancing, I know she had it rooted in her really in a very deep way. So she was just a wonderful person. For my first years of being on mission, she really helped me to say, yeah, this is what community life is about.
I'm Sister Rosemary Vasky, and not too long ago, she was in the community room up on 2 North, I think it was, and we went over to the lounge, just to look out the north window. And this was the days when the cottonwood was flying all around. And we just looked at the trees and then the birds that were flying around. She just enjoyed nature so much. And I just enjoyed sitting there with her, talking about all the good that God has given us in nature.
Thank you for sharing your special stories and remembrances of Sister Dolores. We will continue our sharing during the days and weeks to come. And so we close in prayer. We thank you, God, for the gift of Sister Dolores in our lives. We entrust Sister Dolores into your loving hands. May our grief give way to joy as we celebrate with her today, as her work is now complete, and the fullness of peace and joy is hers. Amen. Our closing song will be page 52, Lord, It Is Good, verse 3. Page 52, verse 3.